Hello, and welcome to Appleton Engaged. I'm your host, Timber Smith, DEI coordinator for the city of Appleton.
And I'm Andy, and I'm the communications manager for the city of Appleton.
And Appleton Engaged is a podcast that explores the many people, organizations, and resources that makes our community a great place to live, work, and play. So whether you're a longtime resident or just getting to know Appleton, join us as we learn more about our community together.
We have an incredible guest with us who not only heads one organization, but two of them.
Facts.
And she's a young, beautiful, and powerful woman powerhouse. I'm woman, so I'm kind of biased towards
Are
her.
you biased?
Yeah, I am kind of. So yeah, that's an honest confession. So yeah, I'm very excited about our new guest. So why don't you go ahead and introduce her to us?
Andy, I think you got all our listeners super excited also. So
I'm
we're
sure.
ready.
Yes.
All right. This week's guest is Hilary Haskell. Hilary Haskell is the executive director of Cares of the Fox Cities and also executive director of Hope and Help Together. Hey, Hilary, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you for being here with us. You ready to jump right in?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Please tell us about yourself and your association with Appleton and the Fox Cities region.
I grew up in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. Didn't grow up in Appleton. I grew up in Oconomowoc, which is, Oconomowoc means the land of running water. I grew up in a lot of nature and a lot of music there. I moved to Appleton as a student at Lawrence University. And while I was a student there, I started attending the Fox Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, and I worked at Harbor House while I was a student. I studied international comparative education, Spanish, and voice, and I got teaching certificates in English learner instruction, bilingual education, and Spanish. So I was busy while I was on campus.
I was going to say, you were busy. Like, not kind of busy, not sort of busy. Busy.
I was busy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that self-design major allowed me to travel while I was on campus as well. So I was able to live in a couple of different places in Central and South America, so I could really get my Spanish up to par before I started teaching it.
Okay. All right.
After Lawrence, then I started teaching at Appleton North High School. And I was there for 10 years. I taught as an English learner, teacher, a Spanish teacher, and then I was an instructional coach as well.
Okay, so education, you are immersed.
Yes, yeah, I'm all about education, right? That's the way to change the world.
Facts. I couldn't agree with you more. And there's nothing quite like watching students as they grow, getting to see the trajectory of their growth and as they become adults. There's just something really powerful about that and hopeful for a future.
Yeah, I love that. There's a special thing that happens when you can create a learning space with students that just lets them bring their whole authentic selves to the space and they just flourish.
Yes, no doubt. Okay, well, Hilary, since we've got two organizations we're going to cover today, we're going to let you decide which one would you like to start with.
Let's start with Cares, right? That's closest to the schooling experience, and then we can talk about Hope and Help together after that.
Okay, let's go.
All right. So Cares stands for Community-Based Advocacy and Research for Equity in Schooling. And we are a new organization. We began work in August of 2020 and became incorporated in December of 2022. And Cares really exists to uplift and validate the voices and experiences of students, family members, and staff to work together towards greater equity and belonging in our schools. And these ideas all really came out of the work that I did in partnership with students, family members, and teachers at Appleton North, right? Working with English learners and students and families who are new to our country helped me see ways in which our community can be a place that really uplifts who they are and helps them find a greater sense of belonging here.
So who do you primarily serve other than the students?
Other than students, the educators, so people who work in our schools every day, right? We bring everybody together in the same space to think about what is it that that's important to them, what is it that they're facing, what do they want to change, and then we facilitate a change-making process.
So you are a Spanish teacher as well. So you also have been traveling, you have seen different countries. So I'm sure you understand the hardships of communication barriers when you work with the families and the kids. So what has been your challenges and how you think your organization tries to help bridge those gaps?
Yeah. Working towards cultural competency and living in a multilingual space is something that we really uphold as important values in CARES. And so whenever we have people who speak multiple languages, we always make sure that there is more than one of those languages present so that there's easy communication across language barriers. And then we work to really understand the kinds of activities that we do and how to make space for different ways to do those activities together.
It sounds deep. Right? And my first initial word was I was going to say complex, but deep.
Yeah, there's a lot of self-reflection, and we encourage our educators to reflect and our students to reflect and really to think about what they're bringing in and how they can add.
Is there any signature events that your organization does?
So CARES has three main things that happen. During the summer, we have a 3-week-long student research institute where we bring students together from across all of our high schools to identify a topic that is important to them, and then we teach them to go through a research process through those 3 weeks. We also have an educator institute that happens, and that's a 3-day institute for educators to learn about participatory action research. And then during the school year, we facilitate research projects that are more longer term.
So I think I got a chance to come in and actually visit one of your classes.
You did.
And get to see the students.
Yeah.
And what was that? Can you share with our listeners what was that research that those students were doing at this time, just so we can have an understanding? What does the work look like?
Yeah, this summer we had 2 research teams of students. One of the teams was 5 students, and those 5 students were looking at the different curriculum that's offered in the Appleton high schools and how well they saw themselves reflected in that curriculum. Then they interviewed staff who write curriculum for the schools and also students to understand how they perceive the kinds of things that they read and the kinds of activities that they do to see, are they being seen and heard in their classrooms? The other research team was focused on understanding how students and staff come back together after some kind of microaggression or harm is caused that's race-based. And those students did, they had people answer surveys, again, staff and students answering surveys about what they might want to do to be able to learn more about microaggressions and things that are race-based that happen in our schools.
If it's okay to share, because I don't know if it's okay to share what the outcomes were, or at least what might have been learned through the process.
Absolutely, yeah.
What was the findings? What was learned? What was the takeaways?
Yeah, so with our research, we have findings, and we also have some recommendations that come, right? For the curriculum study, the students found that they weren't really able to tell in reading documents who is represented in the curriculum and what the curriculum actually covers. And they learned that, both teams learned that our teachers need more professional development about how to be more culturally competent and how to bring in multiple sources into their classrooms. The students who were researching about microaggressions learned that both students and staff would like to have spaces where they can come together to do that learning and understanding together. And that's something that we can work towards implementing.
I really like that outcome, because I do think it's working together towards the best way to educate our youth.
Yeah.
So is there any additional information you feel is important for the listeners to know?
I think there are lots of ways to get involved in CARES. If you're interested, we love bringing in people to eat with us, eat a meal or provide a meal or snacks for our research team meetings. You can become a research team member or participate in our research. You don't have to be a student. You can be a family member, or you can be a community volunteer to get involved.
So can you share some details about how people can reach out to you, or where they can find resources and way to get involved?
Yeah, our website is caresfoxcities.com, or you can email info@caresfoxcities.com to connect and learn more.
Awesome.
All right. Do you have a narrative or a story you can share that will help our listeners really understand or frame the power or the positivity of this program?
Absolutely. During the last school year, we did a project with 6 students who are in the English Learner Program at Appleton North. One of those students was not new to Appleton, but she was new to that school, and really wanted to understand how can she make connections with her teachers, how can she advocate for herself in the classroom so that she learns well. And that became the focus of the study with these six students. And so they learned from their peers and from their teachers about how to self-advocate and how to bring confidence into the classroom. And about 4 months into the project, she shared with the research team that, she raised her hand in class for the first time. And by the end of the year, right, she was doing presentations and she didn't have the same anxiety that she did earlier. And so just, we create this space for students to explore what they want to and to help better themselves for themselves.
That is such a transformation.
That is powerful. That is perfect. You got to operate. Sometimes you need to operate from a place of safety before you move into those spaces where it feels a little more risky.
Yeah.
It just brings that quote to me, like you don't know where the teacher's influence stops.
Facts.
So you are influential. Yep.
Yes. I think we can move to the next organization.
Let's keep it going.
So we're going to back all the way back up now.
Okay.
I'm with that. Okay. So can you please tell us? This is awesome. Can you please tell us about Hope and Help Together?
Sure. Hope and Help Together it's a really special organization. Hope and Help Together came from listening sessions that groups of people at Trinity Lutheran Church started hosting with leaders in our recently resettled immigrant population. So Hope and Help Together is a passionate interfaith community that's dedicated to learning alongside our new neighbors with refugee and immigrant backgrounds in the Fox Valley. And we really exist to create a thriving community by connecting and empowering refugee and immigrant populations with resources. And we want to coordinate the efforts that are happening across the community in regards to newcomers.
Right. The one thing I've learned, partially because I get to hang out with you sometimes, is that we have all these really well-intentioned individuals and organizations, but we're not moving in unison. We're not coordinated per se.
Yeah. Sometimes housing help comes in fits and starts, and we have lots of people who are interested in getting involved and a deep well of resources and volunteers. So a little bit of coordination, we think, will go a long way.
So how long it's been established and what are the key takeaways?
Again, it's new. The group of community members and leaders from our newcomer community started meeting in last December, and we officially started work with funding from Trinity Lutheran this past June. So right now, we're focusing on putting together some newcomer education programming, volunteer education, which helps our volunteers understand things like how do language barriers influence someone's experience? What are the different cultural norms across all the cultures that we have here in the Fox Valley? And then helping support our newcomers in putting on activities. Like we have a group of people who want to start a community garden so that the elders in our Congolese community can come together and have a space to garden together.
Who are you primarily serving at this time? Because it's not just the newcomers.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. We're primarily serving groups of volunteers, newcomers, and then we're working with a lot of area leaders to coordinate some more systemic work as well.
Is the organization at the point that they've had events yet?
We are hosting a network update meeting on October 4th, and anybody in the community is welcome to come to that. The previous events that we have had were listening sessions to help with some community mapping.
Can you share with our listeners what is community mapping?
I love community mapping. It's a way to visualize who is here, where are the people that we're interested in knowing about, and what's going on in our community in relation to that population. So you can literally think of a map, and then you could say, well, where are, who is in our schools? What languages are represented there? How many people are there? Which churches in our community host newcomer church services, or where are the newcomer churches in our community? And then which health organizations have services that are newcomer facing? So we'll have a virtual map where people can go and click and see where are all the strengths in our community to support newcomers.
Yeah, it connects the dots.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also sends a message that there's lots of resources for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right? Because if it's mapped, it doesn't feel disorganized or sporadic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I get that.
So where exactly this meeting is happening, or where can people find the information? Is there a Facebook page they can go to, a website they can look at?
Yeah, the meeting is happening right underneath us where we are right now. It's happening at the Jordan, which is 116 North Appleton Street. But there is information on our website at hopeandhelptogether.com. Again, people can reach out to an email address, hello@hopeandhelptogether.com.
And these meetings are going to be regular, routine. How?
These update meetings will probably happen quarterly.
Okay.
And then there will be other events shared via email and shared on our website for people to get involved.
Is there any additional info that you feel is important for the listeners to know?
This is a new organization, and we're actively seeking membership. We're looking to put together an advisory board of multilingual leaders in our newcomer community to advise the work of Hope and Help Together, and also anybody who's interested in supporting and learning alongside our newcomers.
Awesome. So do you want to send shout outs to both your organization? I'm
I would
sure
love
you're a busy
to.
lady. Yes.
I would love to. I'd love to give a shout out to Mark Bennett, who's a teacher at Appleton North. He always shares his thoughts to help make care something that anybody can connect to. And then for Hope and Help Together, I'd love to bring in Masomo Rugamba, Roland Bisimwa, and Chantal Basecki. They keep saying yes to the vision of Hope and Help Together to help make connections with their friends and family and fellow leaders. And I'm really honored to be able to build this work with them.
Awesome. I'm just going to take one step back real quick and ask, is there a story or narrative for this organization that you would like to share that helps our listeners understand its need, and it is a need, its need and its impact of the future?
Yeah, there are a lot. I'll choose one that's about housing. We know that we have affordable housing shortage in our area, right? Mm-hmm. Often when we have newcomer families arrive, everybody needs housing, right? What's available are apartments that are small, but our families are large. And they're often families who want to live in a multi-generational setting. Mm-hmm. And so families have to make a really difficult choice of who gets to live where. And that means that the youth who typically have more language skills than the older folks get separated from the older folks. So our older folks who are newcomers often get isolated. If we can come together to coordinate resources and really get to know who our landlords are in our community and how we can work together to identify better housing options, then everybody can stay together and there can be a lot more connection happening and less isolation.
Yes. All right, listeners, you heard it here. That is what we need. Well, is there any last words you would like to say to the listeners before we start wrapping up?
I know a lot of these ideas that I'm talking about might be new to some of our listeners, and I would just encourage everyone to take time to check in with themselves. Where are you with this learning and these ideas, and stay curious.
And also, they can reach out to you too, right?
Absolutely. I am happy to get coffee or share a meal or chat on the phone with anybody who's interested.
All right. We will make sure that Hilary's contact information, both her contact information and for both organizations will be in the podcast notes. So if you're listening right now and you have an interest or you would like to learn more, it'll be in the podcast notes on how to reach out. So at this time, we're going to start wrapping up this episode. Just want to take a moment. Appleton Engage listeners, thank you so much for spending time with us, giving us your minds, giving us your ears for this short amount of time, and taking the time to learn more about your community. We are a work in progress. If you would like to be a guest, if you have recommendations, or if you would like to recommend a guest for Appleton Engage, please feel free to reach out to us at diversity@appleton.org. Once again, that is diversity@appleton.org. And then there is one more request that we have, and that is please take a moment and subscribe to this podcast and leave us a review. What this does is this gives us a lot of help with our analytics. We think we have something pretty special here, and we want more and more listeners to be able to find out about Appleton Engaged.
I hope you have been inspired by the incredible story you heard today from Hilary, who's working hard to connect hearts, connecting communities, and they have sparked a desire within you to get involved and make a difference. So stay tuned in for the next episode. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay curious, and stay engaged.